Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here. It is now July 1st, which means the mythical Pokemon Shaymin is available. It will be level 100. It will know Seed Flare, Aromatherapy, Substitute, and Energy Ball. And to get it, all you need to do is go to your Pokemon Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire and then download it as though it is a regular Wi-Fi event Pokemon. If you don't know how to do that, you just go to Mystery Gift, and then you will be given the option to receive gift and then via Wi-Fi. So once you get this going, then we go via internet and then done. So after that, we gotta wait a while, we search for the gift, we find it, and then we receive it. But Shaymin is actually quite a bit different than all of the other Pokemon. So either we get like a GameStop code, or we have something else happening. So that's Shaymin, let's go and receive it. And then you're going to get a nice little animation while it's happening. Now, normally it's like GameStop codes, or you just get it and that's it. You can soft reset and then your day is done. But Shaymin is actually a bit different because it has a secondary form, and this form can only be unlocked once you have Shaymin in your game. So we're going to go and receive our Shaymin once our game ends up resetting. Once it does, we talk to this lady right here, and she will give us our mystery gift Pokemon. Now, the thing is, I am still soft resetting for these legendaries because, fortunately, every legendary you receive through this will be able to get 3 IVs in any of its stats. So, naturally, you want to keep, like, resetting and trying to get, like, a good nature and good stuff like that. So, I'm just a little bit behind, because look at all this. That's a couple hours of soft resetting each, and I haven't been super inclined to get one of them. So maybe we'll... Oh, my party's already full. So I'm obviously not going to save after receiving these Pokemon, but do we finally get it? No, there's our Manaphy, which means we are getting close. Also, Arceus, I believe, is next up. So yeah, we'll be able to get Arceus next month, and that's going to be pretty cool. But right now, just working on my Shaymin. So there we go. Finally, oh my goodness, never mind, it's Darkrai. Oh my goodness, I did get the Darkrai code. Right. And there we go. There is Shaymin. I have a lot of work to do, guys, but I do have almost all the mythical legendary up to this point. So let's go. And now to receive the Gradidea flower. Oh man, I didn't realize how far behind I was. You fly, and then you go to this area over here on Route 123 to the Berry Master's house. And then once you have your Shaymin, you just go inside the house, and then you don't talk to the Berry Master or his wife. You talk to this guy right here, Hey, you've got a Shaymin. Speaking of Shaymin, do you have Gracidea? No, he'll just give you one. Nice. So that's what we get to do, and then we get to go and unlock the Sky form for Shaymin right here. There's our Gracidea. Go, use that on Shaymin, and look at that. Now we have a Sky form Shaymin. Now once in Pokemon X and Y, you do the same thing, you download it via the internet, and then you fly over to Snowbelle City, where you will go inside the Pokemon Center and then receive your Pokemon. Or you can just receive your Shaymin. This guide and video also helps or works for anyone that has received just a Shaymin through, 5th generation or other kind of events, and then brings it over into their X and Y. So there's our lady who's going to give us our Pokemon. There's my Hoopa. So again, still pretty far behind. I wanted to double down on Hoopa because it seems like a Pokemon's not gonna be given away for a while once again. But I already have a full inventory of Pokemon, so we gotta go and change that around. And then I receive my Shaymin. Now, fortunately, if you're already in the Pokemon Center, you're pretty much done. So you receive it, you go right over to her, and you talk to her, and she's like, "Whoa, a Shaymin!" As like she didn't see you get handed one just right across the room. Either way, the first thing that comes to mind is the Gradidea flower, so there you go. Gradidea now in your inventory, and it works the same way. You go to your key items in Pokemon X and Y, and then you use it, and then Shaymin gets to go and be all cool and Sky for me, except I realized I didn't have the bottom screen. There you go. Shaymin changed form, so that's what it looks like in both sides. Level 100, knows all those things. So that means all you have to do is EV train it and give it the proper moveset, which is why we're going to go over to Pokemon Showdown. Now, using Shaymin is weird because there can be complications if your Sky form has things happen to it. If it's nighttime, you don't get to use Shaymin Sky. If it's in your PC, which means no battle box, or if you're frozen. So you can only use it during the day if it's directly in your party, but then you get a lot of power out of it. I mean, the stats on this Pokemon are absolutely insane. 127 speed, 120 on the special attack, and you also get the Serene Grace ability, which means everything dies. So you can just go straight up Timid, Life Orb, outspeed what you need to, and then just coverage them down into oblivion. Now, Earth Power can be learned on Shaymin, but you do have to get it on Shaymin's land form while going into a move tutor. So you can see right here, you know, land form, move tutor, earth power, and then when you give it the Graciodia, it will keep on to the earth power. It's, again, really, really weird, but that's what we have for this. Then Air Slash, Serene Grace Air Slash is absolutely insane because 60% chance to flinch the target while you have a 127 base speed. So you outspeed everything, you do insane amounts of damage because you can also Life Orb on top of this, and then you can like two-shot a lot of neutral Pokemon and have a 60% chance just to flinch them out. And then there's Seed Flare. Seed Flare is our big move that for some reason just clicked off of itself. No, come back here, Seed Flare. It's crazy because Serene Grace, 40% chance to lower the target special defense now becomes 80%. So you tear through tanky Pokemon because Seed Flare, well, now you do double damage because you're cutting their special defense in half. And it's a 120 base power stab move. Other than that, just like random coverage, you know, Dazzling Gleam, if you get a cool hidden power since you can soft reset, or just running Psychic, other kinds of moves. I just like Dazzling Gleam because dragons don't have to deal with them as much since they do resist your Seed Flare. That's kind of it. Now, there's a lot of other really technical things you can do with Shaymin. It's so fast that you can use Subseed, that you outspeed Substitute if they don't break it down or you catch them off guard while they're setting up. You get a Leech Seed in there, and then you're healing up before they can damage you, and then you just set up another Substitute, and then they go down to Leech Seed. You also have Air Slash. Stab super fast Air Slash is really good for this because you can't Leech Seed a grass Pokemon, but you can Air Slash them for super damage, and then you still have Serene Grace, and it's not going to be as much damage since we are focusing on a tankier build right here, but it's still pretty nice. Also, technically, you do want like an even amount of hit points that's divisible by 4 when running the Substitute. So, there we go. We can move this right there. We can throw to defense. Now, you guys might be wondering why I have 244 EVs on the speed. That's because any more EVs just kind of don't matter. So, we have 127 base speed, which means we can actually cut a couple points off at level 50, and we're outspeeding 125 base speed Pokemon. So, that just means free defense points. Slight optimization, you can choose to take it, you can choose not to take it. This is just like the most optimized, but you can still 2v2 hit points, 2v2 speed, and then try to tank it out really well. Or you can also put some special attack investment. Timid Nature means you're going to be able to outspeed your opponent still. Air Slash, Seed Flare hacks, but you just have that sub twist to it instead of a little bit of extra coverage, and it might frustrate your opponent and really take them down. As for the last moveset on Shaymin, we get to use like Choice Scarf, but that shows that since our speed is so high, 127 base speed is unnecessary to Choice Scarf. So you can put just some EVs into it, and then the rest goes into hit points for tankiness, and you still have a high amount of special attack with that modest nature. And then with that, you're pretty much choosing any of the 3 moves like Air Slash, Earth Power, Seed Flare. And I prefer having Healing Wish. At some point, you can even run Healing Wish on this set. The idea is, you know, you bring Shaymin in the late game. If you have a Mega Pokemon that's really hurt or something like that, you bring in Shaymin, you just try to do like Air Slashes and stuff. If Shaymin gets critical, switch it out. Next time it comes in, it uses Healing Wish, or it can also just Snowball off the Choice Scarf. It pretty much gives you the extra option. If you can't KO the opponent, and you're going to get knocked out anyways, use Healing Wish. And then that means your next Pokemon, if it was already weakened, now comes back in full, so it's doing more than Shaymin would have done, and then it just goes and wins the battle from there. Then there's Landform Shaymin. You can run it like a Skyman, you know, just 2v2 speed, 2v2 special attack, Timid Nature, coverage, good to go. But I prefer a really tanky set because it has Natural Cure. Status conditions cured when switching out. So you can rest, go back up to full health, and then switch out, and then you can play it in several different ways. So all I say is, max out the hit points. After that, it doesn't matter. You know, you could go defensive nature, special defensive nature. You know, you want a full special defense tank? Go and do that. Does your team need a full defensive tank? Go do that. Do you need just balance on your team? You know, you can play around with the EVs until you get a more balanced, tanky Pokemon. And look at this. It's absolutely filthy as a tank. 100s across the board. This guy it doesn't look tanky, but it's just not going to take damage. And then there's a couple of other options you have. You have Seed Flare. So you don't have to invest into your special attack because Seed Flare is going to be making your opponent have no special defense. Now you don't have the Serene Grace, but still you just Seed Flare, Seed Flare, Seed Flare, and then KOs right there. However, low accuracy, things to consider. You can set up a Leech Seed and become absolutely tanky as well. So it is kind of weird. Like, you have Natural Cure as a backup, that if Leech Seed and Leftovers aren't healing you for enough, you can eventually just rest and then switch out. And depending if the opponent's a sweeper and faster than you, then that means you're switching out full health and you're coming back completely refreshed. Now, just like the idea of Leech Seed as a stall, you know, Leech Seed, they lose 1/8 of their hit points, they heal you, and then you protect. So they're losing 1/4 of their hit points before they get a chance to damage you, and then you go and heal all that back up pretty well. Now, so that kind of shows like the split right here, or you can just run more offensive Shaymin, but keep the rest on it. So maybe just keep the Leech Seed, you know, throw it out there, have that sustain working for you, but then you don't need the Protect. Cut that away, and then put down some kind of move. Now, I could recommend Psychic, even though it sounds weird. If you look at the coverage for Shaymin or any kind of Pokemon, sorry that it's not in frame. Oh, that actually looks like garbage. Either way, I was looking into it. Okay, so what happens if we go Grass and Ground as coverage? That's going to give us a lot of Pokemon that resist us. But Grass and Psychic is going to cover for itself pretty well. It only have 66 not very effectives, mostly Steel Pokemon and Psychic Flying and Psychic and Steel and stuff like that. So those Pokemon, you know, they will still resist you, but it's not as bad as the other ones. You can also use Air Slash. I just don't like that it has a low base power, but it is going to do its own little thing, you know. If you're not looking to outspeed, but just in case, you might find that chance to flinch on even tankier Pokemon. Like, you have 100 base speed. A lot of tanks are roughly 80 base speed or lower, and they don't invest in their speed, so you can still outspeed them and land that. Also, we're getting more super effective hits and less not very effective hits, so you can still find effectiveness, and also you don't get walled out by the Shedinja, but you can still Leech Seed Shedinja anyway. So little bits of like optimization here. What does Fairy do? Fairy isn't as good, so it'd be between Air Slash or Psychic for your preference. You know, Psychic's going to get you out of some weird situations because, hey, Poison Pokemon, they hit you super. At least Psychic's going to be a little bit of extra damage. You know, Seed Flare, drop, Psychic, that's a KO. And then you can maybe play through just from how tanky you are. So, preference on top of that, I don't think the Earth Power would be as good in this set. That's kind of it. So, Shaymin's really awkward, but awesome, but powerful, but mythical, so you're never going to see it in a battle that often. Either way, if you want to use it, here you go. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.